Hi, welcome to this Excel tutorial video, and today we're going to look at an introduction to Excel. So those people who maybe have been asked to use Excel for work, or maybe you've got access to Excel at home. If you haven't used it before, then ideally this is the video that will give you just that bit of information to get you going and get you started using Excel. So Excel is a spreadsheet application. It allows you to put data into a spreadsheet, store that data, and then present that data or a subset of that data in charts and graphs in some sort of meaningful format. Excel it's a Microsoft product. It looks like a Microsoft product. So if you see on screen, it has two main sections. You've got this ribbon section here at the top, which has tabs and has buttons available to you, and then you've got this main section here that is the spreadsheet section. So if we look at the ribbon section, the ribbon's got all of these tabs here, and if you select a tab, it will change the button options. So if I switch to a different tab, you see these button options change depending on the tab I've got selected. So if we look at a few tabs, first of all, let's click on the File tab. Now this is a different tab to the rest. So if I click on the File tab, it will change the look and feel of Excel completely. So I want to click on File. What this allows me to do is to save my current spreadsheet. It allows me to print it. It allows me to share it, and by sharing it, it means maybe sending it via an email. It allows me to open a new one, a blank one, or open an existing one, or just close Excel completely. To get back to the other tabs and to get back to Excel itself, you click on this little back arrow here. Now, by default, the Home tab is selected, and in the Home tab, you've got options like making things bold, highlighting things, formatting the alignment, so center or right justify, changing values to be money, decimal places. There's all sorts of options in the Home tab. If we click on the Insert tab, this allows us to insert charts, graphs, symbols. If we go to page layout, this allows us to amend the margins or the orientation. When it comes to printing, maybe we want to get more on a page. It allows us to show our high grid lines and headings and that sort of thing. If we click on data, this allows us to order our data, filter our data, remove duplicates from our data, all sorts of options in here. Going back to the Home tab, the options when it comes to font and alignment will only change the font or the alignment of whatever you've got selected in the main sheet down here. So let's go down the main sheet here. The main sheet is made up of cells, made up of columns and rows. So if I select a cell, it has a grid reference. In this case, column D, row 5. So the reference of this cell is D5, and if we look here in this little box here called the name box, it's got D5, and if I select this here, that changes to I9, the I becomes bold and the 9 becomes bold. So each of these has its own unique reference, and that makes sense. I'm using my mouse here to move about, but you can use your arrow keys to move about, or if you know what cell you want to go to, click in here, type the cell reference, press enter, and it will take you to that cell. So, like I said, these buttons here will reference the cells that you've got highlighted. So right now I've got A1 highlighted, but if I wanted more than A1, well, I can use my mouse, click my mouse button and drag and highlight more than a single cell. So I'll drag all the way down here. Maybe I'll drag more than one column and one row, or I can use my arrow keys with the shift. So if I press the shift button and I go right and I go down, it highlights all of that. So suddenly my name column is saying 5 rows to the right, sorry, 5 rows down and 8 columns across. So I mean that's a little bit hard to kind of work out, but the point is you can see what's highlighted. Now it's highlighted, I can make changes to the style. I can change it to bold, underline, make the colours, whatever else. Just as an example, I'll make them all yellow. If I wanted to actually, next to the little button, next to some of the buttons, there is a little drop down arrow, and that gives you more options. So if I click on that, I don't want it to be yellow, I want it to be orange. Also, you'll see on the ribbon there are lines here that kind of separate buttons, make them in little sections. So I've got a little font section and an alignment section and a number section, and within some of these sections there is this little button here, and if you click on that button it will give you more options. So right now I've got limited font options here. If I click on this button here, it'll pop up something, a new window, and I will see more options where I can strike through or make the font subscript. Well, I mean, you can see the options here. So I cancel that for now. So let me type some text in. So if I just put name, and if I put number, and if I put date, as I'm typing, if I press enter, it will take me down a row and actually take me back to where I started typing on the row above. If I start typing something else, if I press the tab key, it will finish what I'm typing and move me along a cell. When you're typing, it's kind of, you'll get into a routine where you'll type something and then you'll decide yourself whether you want to press tab or whether you want to press return. And tab will take you across a column, return will take you down a row. Now I've got these things typed in, I'm going to highlight them using my arrow keys, and I'm going to change the font. I won't click on that. By default that will change the font to red. You can see the little red underline there, but I don't want it to be red, so I'm going to go here and make them purple. And I can make it bold. And actually I want them to have line like a strike through, so I'll click on here and I will click on strike through. Click OK. And I can center the data. So like I said, it works with what you've got highlighted here. So I've highlighted 6 cells there and I've centered them and I've made them strike through and bold and purple. But actually this one here I didn't want to be center justified, so I'm going to left justify it. Now as you type in Excel will try and work out what type of text you're typing. So it will say, this is text, so I'm going to format it as text. Or this is a number, so I'm going to treat it as a number. Or this is a date, and I'm going to display it as a date. So I'll let you know what I mean here. So if I put in text, so this is the name column. It doesn't matter. If I put in John, and I press the tab key, it recognises that as text. It left justifies it, and it looks like text. If I were to type in a number here, so the number 9, and I press enter or tab, it sees that as a number and it right justifies it. So if I were to put 9.00, it will say, oh, that's just 9. If I was to put in 9.01, it will say, all right, that is a valid number. But 9.00 is just 9. So Excel tries to be helpful. If you actually want it to show 2 decimal places, well, you've got this little button here to increase the decimal places. Now then, I pressed it once and it put 3 in because I originally typed 9.00. So I'm just going to press this other one to decrease it, and it takes it back to 2 decimal places. Now if I type a date in here, if I press enter, Excel will say, I know that, it's a date. And because it's a date, I'm going to display it in my default format, which is 2 day numbers dash a shortened version of the month dash to year numbers. So Excel will try and help you, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But just so you know, as you type, Excel will try and work out what you're typing. Now, you can make these rows and columns bigger. So between the C and the D, or between any two rows, there is a line. And if you highlight that line, if you go over that line, your cursor will change to that little right-left cursor. And then if you click your mouse button and hold it, you can then make a column wider. Same with a row, or make it smaller. So if we click on a row here, row 5, and we click and we highlight it, we can make it bigger. Now, there's a lot of columns and a lot of rows. Depending on your version, there's over 16,000 columns and over 1 million rows. So there's plenty of space for you to put as many headers and as much data as you want. And if you've got too much for the screen you're working with, you've got these scroll bars that allow you to go across, and you see the columns go A to Z, and then when they've run out of letters they go A, B. So you've got a subset of columns beginning with A, B, A, C, and that trend continues as you go along. And then you've also got any amount of rows. And then actually I want to go back to A1, so I'm going to click on here, I'm going to type A1, and it takes me back to A1. Last thing I want to show you, we're working on a spreadsheet here, the default spreadsheet. As you open up a new Excel document, it will create you a document with all the defaults kind of preset. And one of the defaults is a single sheet called Sheet 1. And you can rename this. So let's imagine you're playing with data on here and it's customer data. So maybe you want this to be customer 1. So then you want to create another sheet. So I'm going to click on a new sheet here called Sheet 2. And maybe this is actually, I don't know, the sub-ledger. It could be anything. But now you've got a blank sheet. Now you can start typing. Now you can start putting your data into this new sheet. And then if you want to go back to customer 1, you click back on customer 1. You've got more. You can add as many sheets as you like. To rename them, you just double click them and put a name in. You can't put funny characters in there, but generally you can put, text and numbers and spaces. There is a limit of characters, so you can't, put War and Peace in there as a tab name. And generally you wouldn't want to. If you've got half a dozen tabs, you want them to be quite concise. But yes, you can have multiple tabs, and you then switch between the tabs just by selecting them. Okay, that's the end of this introduction. I hope it was helpful. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave any feedback. It's all appreciated. Thank you for your time. See you next time.